Hello, everyone, and welcome to your own tutor channel. This channel is all about giving you information that is useful and helpful to all of you. Now, I am 32 years old right now, and I recently got a Canadian student visa, and I'm planning to go to Canada in 2023. So, from what I have learned in my experiences, that's what I would like to share through this channel because I see most of the students, especially teenagers, they're not very clear about what they want in life. Some of them want to become professional YouTubers. They don't want to get a professional degree. Some of them just don't know the processes. They don't know how to take the exams like English language tests, like TOEFL, IELTS, or any other tests, and also comparative tests like SAT or GRE. They don't even know, or when they know, they're too afraid to attempt those tests. Now, through this channel, I would like to motivate all of you to be very confident about what you want to do in life. So this first session is I'm going to start off with Canada student visa process because most of the people are not really clear about the visa process itself. So I would be doing tutorial videos as well with you guys, but first of all I would like to start off from the very beginning so that even if you are very new to the process, even if you don't know anything and you don't have the money to go to consultants who charge heavy and hefty amounts, I think this channel would really help you out. And as someone who has done the process himself, I can confidently say that it's not very difficult one, and that anybody who with sound knowledge of the system and the processes and a basic understanding of English language can actually easily do the entire process themselves, right? So through this channel, I would be your this channel is called Your Own Tutor, yeah, and I'm gonna be your tutor throughout the processes, and I'm going to start off with the Canada student process, but also I would like to have a stream of IELTS coaching and GRE coaching and any other exam coaching that is necessary for you, how to write SOPs for Canada student visa, because most of the students, when I see them, they're confused about the processes, and that's where I want this channel to really, that's my target audience basically. So these are the people, especially in the subcontinent. I'm from Pakistan, and I see many students from my country, from India, from Bangladesh, from other Philippines or whatever you call it, from many other countries. I see students struggling to understand the process. So without wasting any time, let's get started. Okay, so I made this small slideshow for you. If you can actually see it, yeah. So SDS, basically when you start off the Canadian student visa process, there are two things, there are two options that you have. The first one is SDS. This is known as the Student Direct Stream process, and the other is non-SDS, that is non-student direct stream process. Now, what is the difference between the two? There are a few chosen countries. I'm going to show you the list in a while as well. These countries have been categorized as direct stream countries by Canadian authorities, and they grant them visa within 20 calendar days. That's what they say on the official pages, but these timelines have been very different after the COVID-19 pandemic. So you should not expect your visa to come in around 20 days, but the processing times have really improved over the past few days and for past few months. And that's my experience at least. Okay, so what are the differences between the two? Well, the basic differences are those of the exams. The IELTS exam is not mandatory for the non-SDS process, and for the SDS process, I applied through SDS process, so I know more about the SDS one. So I would be confirming a lot of knowledge about non-SDS because I would be doing a separate video on that one. But for the student direct stream, these things are mandatory. IELTS is the exam that you take for going to Canada or for admission in any university. You require IELTS as well, but many of them provide exemptions based on the fact that you can produce English proficiency letter from your institution from where you've studied. And then there is guaranteed investment certificate, that is GIC. Now this is exclusively for SDS applicants. SDS is an online process, as I told you already. So student direct stream requires you to submit an amount of 10,500 Canadian dollars in Canadian banks. Now this process in itself is a bit challenging for people, especially who are new to the process, who don't know banking that much, especially the students who after intermediate they are trying for a student visa, and they're not really sure about how to go about this. And I will be guiding you about this in more detail in the coming lectures as well. And then, is the bank balance really necessary? Well, yes, of course it's necessary if you've got the money in the bank, and if you can show transactions of about 6 months at least, or if ideally 1 year. That's amazing. That's going to increase your chances and boost your chances like nothing else. Okay, so these are the basic differences. Now, how much does each cost and which one is cheaper? Now, this is a really good question. Most people who think that one is cheaper than the other, well, they do have a point, because SDS basically requires you to have money, your own money, basically, right? That's what people mostly refer to it as. What I mean by this is that in SDS you need to have money to send to Canadian banks, right? But in non-SDS, what people can actually do is that they take money from somewhere. This should not be done, by the way. The Canadian authorities, that's why they have introduced this SDS process, and this should never be done, but this is what most people do, and I think you should know the process. People actually borrow money from their relatives or their cousins or brothers or whatever, and they show it as their own bank balance by maintaining the account in the non-SDS. And that's to discourage this process. What they've done is that Canadian government now wants you to have that amount in their banks, so that you can continue with the process of applying for a student visa. And I think that is better, because that amount is ultimately going to help you. And if you're applying for a Canadian student visa, the first thing you need is a bit of money as well, right? So unless you're on a scholarship and you can justify your stance on that one, you need to have some amount of money in your banks. Moving on, SDS versus non-SDS, which one to choose? Now, for convenience purposes, I would say that SDS is the best one to choose from, because I have gone through this process and I found it really easy. There were a few forms and a client information form, which is also known as your SOP, that you need to define, and that's pretty much it. I would be coming towards the requirements in a bit. Okay, so this was the basic. Now let's get on to the process itself. So here it is, student direct stream, as I told you. Now this is the official Canadian website, canada.ca. Okay, I'll be leaving the link in the description as well. This shows that you need to apply, if you need to apply for study visa, study permit, student direct stream is the process, right? So what is this process and how much it actually costs? This is the application fees, and this is in Canadian dollars, not the US dollar, so it's a bit cheaper than the US dollar. The processing times here, it says 20 calendar days, but expect it to be around 40 days now, right? But these vary, because after the pandemic, the entire world has been in a mess, so these processing times have been affected as well. Okay, so depending on where you live, you may be able to get your study permit faster through the student direct stream. We try to process most SDS applications within 20 calendar days again. And then what's important is this biometrics and eligibility requirements. Now, what are these eligibility requirements? Let's go to the next page. I already have it open here. Now, you can see to be eligible for applying for a student direct stream, you must be residing in these countries, one of these countries. And since I'm from Pakistan, this was, I think, recently added in 2017. And then India is also there, and Philippines, and the other countries as well. So Brazil, China, people from these countries can actually apply for student direct stream. So they can apply through SDS. Of course, you need an acceptance letter from a post secondary designated learning institution. Now, what is a designated learning institution? Now, there would you would when you research online, you would come across a few institutions that would offer you admission as an international student, but they would not be designated learning institution of Canada. Most of the public universities in Canada are designated learning institutions. I will be telling you about my university as well, and how I got admission into it, and how I went about the process. So I will be sharing all those details with you as well in the later videos. But for now, so you need to make sure that you your university that you're applying from, that you're applying to actually, is a designated learning institution. So you can actually find a list maybe here, postgraduate. So okay, so list is here. You can search about for the universities for province wise. For example, if you're searching for Alberta, these are its designated institutions. Okay, so Calgary, ABM College of Business and Technology, and all these are DLIs. Now DLIs have, if you notice here, DLIs have a specific number, and this number is very important because this is required when you apply for the SDS stream. I think you need it for non-SDS as well, but for SDS it's compulsory that you need to have a designated learning institution number, right? Okay, so you need to live outside of Canada when you're applying. So if you are in Canada right now, you don't need to apply for SDS, and you can only apply when you're out living outside. Okay, this is important. You have to prove that you have paid the first year of tuition fee. Now, in my case, the university actually had a tuition fee and also a special fee for international students, because the international students pay higher, a lot higher than the local students theirs, right? So the international students actually have to pay almost double or thrice the amount, if I'm not wrong. My university had special fees imposed on international students from the year 2022. I think from the start of 2022, yes. So, uh, but for visa purposes, I only paid the tuition fee, which was around 4 to 5 thousand Canadian dollars. It was one of the cheapest universities, but you should expect your university fees for 1 year tuition fee to be around anywhere between 10,000 to 18,000. This totally depends on your course, and you need to research about it. I can also show you how to research about your fees and everything, and you need to come into contact with the authorities at the university to know the exact amount that you need to pay for them to issue a letter to you saying that you have paid your tuition fee for the 1 year of study. For first year, now in Canada, there are basically the semesters are divided into three, right? So there are 3 semesters in a year usually, and so you need to pay your fees for the three tuition fee for the 3 semesters. But we'll come to that in a lot more detail in the upcoming lectures. This is just to give you an overview of the process. Now comes the GIC. Now this is not the entire amount if you're going with family. If you're going alone, then this is 10,500 right now, I think, and you should actually pay about $100 to $200 extra, because the administrative fee and everything after that. You should have at least 10,000 Canadian dollars. So just to be on the safe side, just to take into account the exchange rates and everything, you need to overdo a few things so that your process goes smoothly, right? Now you need to get a medical exam. Now there are two options, I think, but I went for the upfront medical because that streamlines your process really well. Upfront medical, I will tell you in the later videos how to go about it, how to go for upfront medical exams, and how to book an appointment, what are the delays that you need to face, what you should take with you, what you need to be prepared for during the medical exam, and all of those details I'm going to share with you, okay? And then get a police clearance certificate. If you can arrange this, I think it's going to help you out later in your life when you go for your PR once you're in Canada. But for this SDS, it's not necessary because I applied for without having a police clearance certificate, and it worked well for me. So I wouldn't recommend, but if you can arrange it, it's a nice thing to have. And as I said, always it's better to overdo things rather than underdo things in when applying for a visa. And then comes the International English Language Testing System, that is your IELTS, and you need at least academic or general. Both of these are accepted. There are two types of IELTS: academic IELTS and general training IELTS. Usually, general training IELTS is for immigration purposes, and if you're applying to a university for admission, I think you need an academic one. So both of these are acceptable, and minimum score is that of 6.0 or higher in each. Each means reading, writing, speaking, and listening. So I will also have a separate playlist for teaching you IELTS and how to go about this exam, because I was able to secure 8.0 in my IELTS exam, and I will try my best to help you out, because especially the writing part is really typical, and then you need to be very well prepared for it. And there are a few strategies that you need to formulate in order to attempt this. And then there's the French test, but this is not necessary for you. And these are the documents required by the visa office. So there's a list available here. You can go check out this link. Okay, so basically it all comes down to these 4 or 5 things, right? For what you need to be from these countries, which you already hopefully would be, and then an acceptance letter, right? So this is for the first real requirement, acceptance letter. This is how your process would start. So you should apply for admission from your institution. DLI, it should be a DLI. Just notice this. Take a note of this one. And then the next real thing is to show proof that you have paid 1 year tuition fee to your university after you've gotten admission. And then once you get this acceptance letter, you are eligible to go for GIC. You can apply, and I'll tell you the entire process in the later videos, and get this medical exam done. And of course, IELTS. I think if I would start my process, I would start off with IELTS, because in any case you're going to need it for the university admission. So no, why not get it out of the way, right? So these are the 4 things basically that you need, and that's all about the student direct stream process. Now these are the banks basically that accept GIC, but we'll come down to that later in the videos. And this is telling you all about how you can bring your spouse or a partner or children with you to Canada. And I have actually applied my visa for my kid and my spouse. I already got my visa, but I had to defer it. I had applied together with my wife and my child, but unfortunately their visa was refused and my visa was accepted. So now I've applied again after addressing the issues in my application. But from what I know of the processes, I'm going to teach you and I'm going to tell you how to go about it, and I'll try my best to help you out, because at the end of the day, we are all one community, and I think we need to keep helping each other out, so that there are a lot of people I see that who are not really clear about these processes, and I really want to uh, show them that it's not really that difficult as they think. Now, to get instructions online, I had to actually show you one more document, this one. So if you actually want to get instructions for applying online, you can select Pakistan here and continue, and this is gonna lead you to a document. This is the document, or this one. I have actually opened it. This is 5814. That's 5814. I have opened it for you. Now this will show you Abu Dhabi visa office instructions, because Pakistan's Canadian embassy for Pakistan is dealt with from Abu Dhabi embassy. So when you will receive a visa, this is the office that's going to give you the visa. But now I have heard the rumors that it's being shifted to um, Islamabad as well. Okay, so looking at the study permit for company dependents, 1822. Complete an application for a study permit, which must include a letter of acceptance. As I told you already, you already gone through this process. So these are the things that you need to have: a valid passport or travel document. All right, If you're not living in the Gulf country, you don't really need this one. And then proof of sufficient funds to cover your tuition fee, living expenses for at least 1 year, that is your GIC. So here notice that if you're going alone, you will need 10,000 Canadian dollars. But if you're taking your spouse with you, you need to have 4,000 additional Canadian dollars for them. And per child, you should have at least 3,000 Canadian dollars to apply, right? So a GIC amount would actually increase if you're applying with family. If you're applying alone, then you can apply with 10,000 Canadian dollars. Scholarships and awards. Now this will take a separate video. And the fees paid to the school, as I told you, you need to have 1 year school fees paid. Birth certificates of minor child. These are the in detail requirements, but there are a lot of forms involved as well. So I'll tell you all about that. This is really important. Annexure A, this is your study plan. Now here they say that it should be one page study plan, but mine was actually 2 or 3 pages long. And I think this is really important because this is your chance to convince the visa officer to give you that visa. Why should a Canadian visa officer give you the visa? These are the questions they'll be looking at and finding an answer in your SOP, right? So when you're designing your SOP, many people are not really clear about how to go about writing an SOP. So this is your template. They asked me for a template. This is your template. You don't need to pay anyone to apply for a visa. You just need to have sound knowledge of these things. You should be good at drafting. If you're not good at drafting, ask someone who is really good at English. Ask them to write. You first make pointers on these and then ask them to write on your behalf your SOP and then get it checked. All right. If you get it checked once or twice from a professional or someone who is an expert in writing good English, I think you can actually do it very easily by yourself and you don't need any help from anybody, right? So that's pretty much it from my first video. I hope really it was helpful to you people. Let me know in the comments how what you think about this channel, and are there any things that I need to cover, what all things I should cover. I'll try my best to share with you all the knowledge that I have, and then you can also, because we are all learning constantly and it's a learning process for each and every one of us. So if you've got any tips and tricks from me as well, so you can share with me in the comments. And it's not like that I am at the top of the world and I know everything. It's not like that at all. I'm also learning. I'm constantly learning. And one more disclaimer: I am not a licensed or professional guide, but I can only share with you what I know, right? So don't bank upon this information only. I'm just trying to help you out here. It's not that I'm a licensed professional and I will be helping you out professionally. It's just like a friend or a brother helping another one out, right? So that's pretty much it from my video. I hope you liked it. Thank you so much.